Hello everyone, just a quick heads up. This is the third part of a series that is ongoing on my channel, so if you did miss the second or the first part, please go down into the description. You'll find links to both of them and you can go give them a watch. And also a quick update on my situation. So pretty much at the moment I have some important business to do with my animals and some vet checkups and stuff. They aren't looking too great. I had rescued a dog about 5 days ago or 6 days ago. My brother found her in the drain and I've been taking care of her ever since. I got her a vet checkup and she has a fractured leg. She also has tick fever, which I'm treating her for. However, my dog, which is also a rescue, I rescued her about 6 or 7 months ago. She is not looking too great. I had found her on the highway and during the vet checkup today, so she has these lumps on her right paw and her ribs, and also this small lump on her right back paw. Pretty much we got them x-rayed and it's not looking too great. It looks like cancer, and yeah, there's it's not conclusive that it is cancer. However, it's highly probable. I do want to get to the bottom of the diagnosis though, so I'm gonna have a bit more tests done, have some more blood work and stuff done, try to understand exactly what disease she has, what is the problem with her, because she does experience a lot of pain and I want to understand where it is coming from. So there will be maybe less videos this month because I do pay my editor to edit my videos. He does a great job and he's very understanding of me. However, even with the level of understanding we have for each other, I do not want to not pay him for a job. So if I am not capable financially to pay him, I really feel like I should just not order anything from him or ask him to edit anything. Because although the channel, I'm very proud of it, I'm very happy, I'm very passionate about my projects, it's not making the money to actually finance the projects. So for the time being, I am going to probably upload maybe less this month. It really depends. I'll see what happens financially. This is not conclusive, but I'm just updating you guys. If you guys want to show a little bit of support, you can share the videos, subscribe and like, all of those normal stuff, you know. But either way, I'll give you guys some more updates on the future videos. Obviously the channel is not going to completely stop, so don't worry about that. But for the future uploads, if next week Wednesday there isn't a story, that's probably why. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this story. I hope you guys have heard the previous parts as well, and yeah, enjoy. Oh no, 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 I said anxiously. I immediately realized that the odor was very similar to what we noticed when we entered the bunker for the first time. Only much, much stronger. My Geiger counter started clicking too.
What's going on?
That guy, Moroz, he told me about this. He told me to run. Just as he finished, the door shook in an enormous slam, sending dust flying in the air and slightly bending outwards. There was nowhere to run. We had a heavy steel door on the side and God knows what on the other. I had no idea how we could survive. Luckily, Alex had.
Do you still have the rope?
Without hesitation, we tied it around one of the pumps. It wasn't easy at first, working with the rope with my hands shaking violently. But then another loud slam echoed through the room. One of the bolts that held the door was launched across the room. I felt a wave of cold run down my spine, and suddenly, I had just this one purpose: to tie the knot. Everything else was shut down in my head. I was done and we dropped it down the broken vent that Alex got dragged into before. We stepped inside and started sliding down the rope. I then heard another slam, and then what I think was the door hitting the ground. It was through. I slid faster, but the rope was starting to burn my hand. I lost the grip and fell down a few meters, landing on top of another vent. It broke and I fell through, inside another corridor. Alex then landed on top of me. It took us a few moments to get back to our feet. I looked around and saw an orange door titled Decontamination. We were on level 3. There was no handle, only a button on the wall next to it. I pressed it and the door opened after a few seconds. We entered a small room with a control panel. Using it, I closed the door behind us. Several jets then blasted us with air. A green light popped up and then another door in front of us opened, inviting us deeper into the facility. I noticed that the control panel was stained with a smudge of fresh blood. Was Mora still alive and went through here? We couldn't get back. Our only option was to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. It was supposed to be a clean room, but the place was wrecked even more than the upper levels. After some walking and searching, we found a room that looked like a makeshift infirmary. A few dozens of beds separated with plastic curtains, some medical equipment. Some beds still had information clipboards attached. Patient 2, quarantine. Survey Team C. Patient in coma. Observation only. Do not interfere. Deceased 0728, unknown. Patient 6, quarantine. Survey Team C. Patient in coma. Observation only. Do not interfere. Deceased 0752, unknown. Patient 19, quarantine. On-site operative assistant, first contact with Survey Team C. Massive blunt force trauma. Chest, suspected internal damage. Cranial concussion suspected. Damage to cervical spine, dislocated. L shoulder fracture. L humerus multiple lacerations, chest. Deceased 0404, internal hemorrhage. Patient 7, quarantine. Survey Team C. Patient is psychotic and unresponsive. Mild to moderate frostbite. Observation only. Do not interfere. Termination order. Signed, A. Moraz. There were some body bags on the other side of the room. Empty. We searched the area and eventually ended up in the lower levels of the facility. There was this rotten smell all around. We entered a room and, well, there was this substance everywhere. On the walls, floor, ceiling, everywhere. It was like flesh with tendrils or veins running across it, like from a Dead Space game. Then we found bodies attached to it. Dozens shriveled up like dead insects on a spider web.
I think we should go back.
We turned around and went back, but then I heard some debris shift in the distance in the corridor we came from. Soon enough, one of these things crawled into the light emitted by my flashlight. It stood there for a while, staring at us with its blank eyes. And then it leaped forward. Then it fell to the ground, dead. An empty shotgun shell did soon after. I heard more of them making their way towards us in the distance, so we ran deeper into the facility. I shot a few more on the way, but then we ran out of ammo. We eventually found a long, dark tunnel flooded with water. The things were almost on us. I could see them crawl along the walls behind us. We entered the tunnel. The water slowed us down considerably, and I awaited the worst, but then I noticed that we weren't followed. They wouldn't go inside the tunnel. We walked for, I don't know, an hour, 2. The water was ice cold. Luckily, it was only about knee deep, so it wasn't too terrible. I already said that Alex didn't look well since I found him, but as we walked through, he seemed to be getting worse. He complained about his head and he felt dizzy. His skin got pale and he looked very weak. After some time, I had to support him, and later, he completely collapsed and fell unconscious. We couldn't go back, so my only option was to find a way to drag him through the water. It was like this for some time, but then I heard something far away in the direction we came from. A splash. I turned and shined my light into the black tunnel. Nothing. I continued walking, but then I heard it again. "Hello?" I called, hoping to hear an answer. Maybe Miraz was there? Or did the creatures follow us after all? Nothing. I quickened my pace, but it wasn't easy dragging another person and moving through knee-deep water. The sounds continued. They weren't getting closer or farther. They were just there. Then I reached the end. The tunnel was closed off with a massive steel door and no visible way to open it. It was a dead end. I stopped moving and listened. Those sounds. It wasn't just a splash. It was more like as if someone or something was wading through the water. I panicked and started banging on the door, calling for help. I had nowhere to go. The sounds were now getting closer. I saw waves in the water. It was now very close. I slowly turned again and looked into the tunnel. I saw nothing and heard nothing, just silence and darkness. And then a familiar scent hit my nose. Ozone. Then I heard a metal shift behind me. The door opened.
Dimitri.
A familiar voice called. Miraz.
What? Who is... Oh no, you brought it here.
He pulled me and Alex through the door and then shut it as fast as he could.
That's your friend? How? What happened to him?
He asked as he looked at still unconscious Alex. I don't know. Are you okay? I asked back. He had a large gash across his face and his right eye.
Well, no thanks to you.
He noticed the makeshift bandage on Alex's arm and unwrapped it. What he had on his arm wasn't just a regular wound. It was a bite mark.
That,
Miraz said and pointed at it.
Stand back.
He stood up and drew his pistol. No, wait! At least tell me what's going on!
He's going to be dead within a few minutes. This will make it easier. For him too, but mostly for us.
Wait, please. Is there really nothing else we can do? I pleaded. He looked at me, looked at Alex, and then stood there, thinking for a moment. I was immediately relieved when he holstered his gun again.
Okay, this might help him,
he said, and dug up a case with a syringe from his backpack. It looked used recently, and was only about half full with a clear liquid. He injected Alex with the rest of it.
It won't matter anyway.
What do you mean?
Follow me. Take him too if you want, but I'm not carrying him. I guess you've probably already figured out that this has all been something to do with the disaster 30 years ago. The first machine we used for the teleportation experiment. It wasn't powerful or reliable enough. We figured out that this whole thing wasn't as simple as it seemed. We weren't just teleporting things to a different place. We were transferring them between multiple parallel realities. But it was limited. We could only exchange 2 objects with equal mass between 2 identical places in 2 different realities. So, they built a new machine here. and used a nuclear reactor to power it, hoping that we could possibly move anything to any place between two given realities. We started exploring whole new universes, saw worlds where Germany won World War II, worlds where we all destroyed each other, even worlds where life never evolved on Earth. But then, someone had an idea. If there are these parallel universes, what's between them? There was only one way to know, and that's when it went wrong, as I said. We should have been happy with what we had, but we always want more, right? We tried to access this conduit reality, as they called it, but when they activated the machine, it stayed open. Something happened, and a portal was created, independent from our machine. It was sustaining itself. We sent a survey team in there. They came back after a few minutes, reporting all sorts of strange things. About how a strange feeling filled that place, how space and time themselves felt odd, even how some of them claimed to have seen themselves at different places at once. They wouldn't go back, even if threatened with all sorts of penalties. We sent a second survey team later. This one didn't come back at all, so we sent a third team to find them. They came back, but something wasn't right with them when they returned. Their minds were erased.
I pictured the blank stares of the creatures we fought on the way.
Shortly after they returned, a massive burst of energy flowed out from the portal straight up into the reactor. But that wasn't all.
And you know all this because you took a sick day, right?
I was at a different place in the facility when it happened. I'll never forget when they came to me, saying that something had come through into our world.
What was it?
I don't know. Nobody knows. Wasn't like anything we'd ever seen. And it killed almost everyone here. Not just killed, it did things to people. You've seen it. We're here.
We entered a control room filled with computers and various controls and displays. Mirage closed another blast door and sealed us inside the control.
We need to close the portal. We've tried it before, but these things wouldn't let us.
So, where are they now?
As soon as I heard that you went inside the facility and came back, I knew something was off. This place used to be full of them. At least one is still here. The smell of ozone. But a few years ago, everyone who went in wouldn't come out alive past level -1. But we've got this far, and I don't know why. That's what scares me. Something isn't right. I know that I'm asking for a lot, but we need to go inside the portal and use this.
He emptied his backpack and took out this crude-looking contraption with all sorts of wires, coils, and other bits hanging from it.
We need to place one end in the other reality and then return with the second end into ours. If it works, it might cause the portal to collapse.
And how do you know that the same thing that happened to the third team won't happen to us too?
That's the thing. I don't. But I'll tell you this. You know how they built that concrete shield over the reactor. They weren't trying to seal the reactor. They were trying to seal this place to prevent whatever came into our world from getting out. And a few years ago, the thing we feared most happened. The shield started cracking. They were trying to get out, so they built a new one. Containment, built recently, as you know. But for how long will this go on? Sooner or later, something will fail, and they will get out. This might be our only chance to end this for good.
How the hell did I get into this? I thought. I was just some random guy at the wrong place in the wrong time. But Miraz was talking as if the fate of the world depended on me. But maybe he was right. Whatever set of coincidences has brought us here has brought me here. Maybe me and Miraz were the only people who could do what needed to be done. Oh, alright, let's do it. We put on a pair of what looked like modified spacesuits, left everything other than the device in the control room, and entered the machine. We were in a dome-shaped chamber filled with complicated machinery. In the center, there was a sphere of white light. Above it, a black, hollow shaft going straight up with cracks and debris around the opening. We tethered ourselves to the steel rail and Miraz walked forward into the sphere and vanished. After some hesitation, I did the same. I found myself in a place that I can't describe. There was no up or down, and I could walk in any direction. It looked empty, yet I could see countless, infinitely large shapes with billions of tiny, shiny dots on the surface.
Here,
a voice called. I looked for Miraz, but I couldn't find him. Where are you?
Come,
he said, and grabbed me by the arm, seemingly out of nowhere. I noticed hundreds or thousands of other white spheres in the distance around us. Are those?
Yes, portals from other realities.
Are we going to close them all?
No, just ours. The others are not our problem. They will have to find their own way to handle it.
We walked towards one distinct shape. As with everything here, I struggled to describe it. It was like a fractal, the same shape repeating over and over again.
I think this is it,
Miraz said and started doing something with the device. It beeped several times and then started making a high-pitched hum.
Oh no. No, this isn't good.
What's going on?
Listen, I need you to take the other end and return. Once you're back, pull this switch and keep the button pressed until it activates. I have to stay here.
I picked up my end of the machine and watched as a wire started unreeling between the two. What about the key to the door out?
There is no key.
What? But you said... That wasn't the plan.
This was always the plan. I couldn't risk.
He didn't finish. I saw something in the corner of my eye. Movement.
Shit. Don't look at it. Go, now, run!
Miraz said, and I listened. I ran back, following the line back into our portal. With my eyes almost closed, I went through, placed the device on the ground, flipped the switch, and the device started producing a similar high-pitched noise. I pressed the button. For a second or two, nothing happened. And then, suddenly the device, or the portal, let out an ear-piercing whine, an intense flash and a wave of heat, and then it was gone. Severed wires and tether line laid on the ground where the portal used to be. In the meantime, Alex woke up. He looked much better, and I told him what happened while he was out. We didn't know what to do now. We thought about going back and trying to cut the chain on the door outside again, but after what happened last time, we doubted that it could work. We probably wouldn't even get out of here alive at all. But then Alex had this idea.
What if we use the machine to teleport out of here?
It took us several hours to figure out how the controls worked. It was heavily damaged and the reactor was obviously out of the question, but the generators above supplied enough power for a simple translocation, as they described it. All we needed to do is input a target vector, and then the familiar clicking and smell of ozone came. A powerful slam shook the whole room and left a large dent in the steel door that connected the control room with the rest of the facility. Fuck, not again!
I think I got it. They have some vectors written down here. We just need to add some height and we'll get above ground.
Make it fast, I said as the door shook in another slam. He did something and the controls lit up with alarms sounding. We ran to the core chamber and closed it behind us just as we heard the control room door give way. We stood in the center and waited. Sparks and smoke filled the room as the machine did its thing. Please work. I heard another slam and the door of the chamber broke off the wall and fell to the ground. I looked over and then time froze. I didn't feel fear. I felt at peace. I felt as if I was just a step away from understanding everything. I wanted to stay here forever. A flash suddenly blinded me, and then I bumped my head onto something. I opened my eyes and breathed in fresh air. We were laying upside down in a crater-like hole in the ground in the forest. We were out. We found our car after a few minutes. We saw several military helicopters fly in the opposite direction as we driven home. Alex checked in the hospital with a made-up story of an animal attack. He was okay in the end. We didn't talk about it again. It was over, and I thought that our world was safe from whatever stayed at the other side of the portal. But when I finally returned home that day, I noticed that something wasn't right. The old cherry tree that we used to play at when we were kids, it wasn't there. There was an apple tree instead.
We've managed to transport an apple today. However, I couldn't help but notice that the pattern of red and green skin on top was slightly different.
We were transferring them between multiple parallel realities, portals from other realities.
Are we going to close them all?
No, just ours. The others are not our problem. They will have to find their own way to handle it.
I think I'm not in the reality that I lived in before. I think when we teleported out, we ended up in a different one. I can't stop thinking that the portal in this one might still be open. I think we aren't safe. Hello everyone, I hope you all enjoyed this narration. I'd like to give a huge shout out to both Dr. Plague and Van Ryder for voicing Moraz and Alex. You both did amazingly and I'm so grateful to you both. If any of you watching would like to go and show support to them both, you can find their socials in the description. Go check them out, they're very talented individuals and I'd highly recommend you give them a look. Now, this story was amazing to record. I'd like to say I'm so happy to have had my theories confirmed. In the first part that I made a couple months back, I had theorized that the portal was actually a portal to other realities. And honestly, at the time, I felt like the theory was very far-fetched. But after reading this part and getting all of my thoughts confirmed, it feels so validating. I feel so happy, and honestly I'm really happy that this story took that direction because it made it even more interesting, at least to me. I'm very interested in stories about other realities and other dimensions and stuff like that. I feel like there's a lot of creative freedom when talking about these kind of ideas and concepts, and there's a lot of room to explore, a lot of adventures you can take with them, and I'm super happy that this story took that direction. Also, this story the part 2 and the part 3. The part 3 that you're listening to right now, not recording, I don't know why I was about to say that, but the part 3 that you're listening to right now, which is the final part, this part is being recorded right now in August. I had recorded the part 2 about 3 or 2 months ago, and I had it there shelved for a really long time because at the end of the video I had said that I would have the part 3 come out about 2 weeks after the part 2, and then I never got to record the part 3 because my throat felt like shit, and so I just shelved it because I didn't want to upload it and then have the part 3 come out 2 months or 3 months after the part 2, especially since I was leaving the country and I wasn't able to actually record as I was away. Keep in mind, the past 2 months, during June and July, all of the videos that went up during those 2 months, they had already been recorded. They had already been recorded and worked on and scheduled. So now from this story forward, all of the stories will be pretty recent, maybe like a week or 2 before it had been recorded. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. I really am excited to see your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. I'm gonna make a video where the part 3 and the part 2 and the part 1 are all combined into one, so that whoever are interested in seeing the stories, they don't have to go and look for the part into each individual parts. They can just watch one video with all parts inside of them. And also it also gives the story a bit more exposure, so that people who never got to see the story when the first part came out can also see it all at once, which I think is very good, because it's the same thing with Dark Somnium. Like, when I used to consume a lot of stories and a lot of narrations, some of the stories I never got to see, so around the time that I finally got to watch them, I never got to see the previous parts. So when it came time to actually watch them, it made things a lot easier for me to actually watch just one video with each individual parts combined into the one video. So I'm hoping it can do the same for other people who want to watch this series. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I wanted to really say. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll be down there responding to each and every one of you. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.